Okay, it's a little more quieter now, so I got some time to spare, so I can say something. Um, so it's been a little time since we got the quality of life patch. How do I feel about it now? Well, put my keyboard down real quick so I can give you guys my undivided attention. So overall, the quality of life patch is good. I love the abyss change. I love that it went from 15 runs to 5 runs. So that means it's easier to go through characters. It's really helpful for people with a whole bunch of characters. It sucks that we have 100 crystals less for each character for grinding, but in exchange for that, we get more material. So you can finish your Abyss PNA and your Abyss Talisman even more, which I appreciate, because people nowadays are going to be busy in real life, college. Some of these people haven't even graduated high school yet, and they're still in school, so it's really helpful. The Abyss change was overall helpful for anyone and everyone. The grinders will feel some type of way because they're getting less mount crystals than before, but I personally like the Abyss change. We had got changes in the shops. I like the changes in the shops. It's more organized. You're not scrolling up and down and having issues as to where to find stuff. We got more changes. We got changes in Code Alchemy. I like the change in Code Alchemy. Now we don't gotta suffer. Now we don't have to suffer as much trying to get a weapon. So that's good. The whip change though. We're gonna talk about the whip change. So the whip change it goes from 4 stats to 2. Now the reason they did it, from my initial reaction, the reason why they did it was because people kept complaining about the whip and stuff and it becoming a problem. So they fixed it. They fixed the whip, which is good on paper, right? Okay, but there was also a suggestion for the change for Chakram that would have been very good as well, but they felt like they didn't need to do anything for Chakram. It would have made using Chakram a little bit better. Now I understand that some people will be like, but the suggestion for the Chakram was useless. I get that part, but it actually would have help people who are newer and stuff, and it would help them. See, there are mostly 3 people. There are mostly 2 people technically. Well, actually, 3 people. There are mostly 3 people that you have to keep in mind: the casuals, the new players, and the returnees. Now, the ones who are tryhards and grinders, we're okay. We're gonna be okay. Any type of quality of life that makes our grind easier is okay. It's less stress on our hands, and we won't be fucking up our hands in the long run. Cause some of us, truth be told, are gonna fuck up our hands in the long run for the amount of grinding that we've been doing. Some are actually experiencing pain and joint pains and discomfort in their hands, their wrists, their arms. I will not be surprised if elbows too, fingers even. So any type of quality of life that easing up our grind is good for the grinders. I'm a grinder myself. You're supposed to grind on a type of game like this. It's an MMORPG. They're grind heavy, of course. My point is, let's go back to the whip change. I still feel some type of way that they like skipped over Curious's Chalkum suggestion thread, and then just went straight to okay, but we'll do the whipping stuff. It feels like they went out of their way to. It feels like. Part of me feels like it's because it was Curious suggesting that. I feel like part of me feels like if somebody else suggested the Chalkum change, they would do it. Part of me feels like they're being very biased when it comes to people now, and it's, to be honest, it's really showing. Part of me feels like that was them being biased and really being loud with it. That's what it feels like. Cause I'm more calmer now. I know everybody's gonna be like, no, that's not why. I know, but that's what it kind of feels like. It feels like they're being biased, and like, that's what it really feels like. But I'm gonna try not to jump to conclusions and go with the reason of, well, they probably felt like the change wasn't so useless, even though it would actually be useful, especially regarding cutscenes. We do have quite some bosses with some cutscenes. For example, Prometheus. We still have people who spam Prometheus. I mean, by all means, if you guys want to somehow find a way to shorten the cutscenes for Flame King, by all means. I'm kidding. But yeah, I still do feel like that Chalkum change would have actually been good. I actually agree, like I was trying to say in the video before, I actually do agree with pretty much I actually do pretty much agree with a lot of shit that Curious said in his recent thread. I actually do agree with a lot of shit. The reason why I commented the way I did, because they pretty much open doors to the possibility of if we complain enough, if we bitch and whine enough, they will change it to make us happy. Even though that kind of tactic has always been there. But this one was kind of ridiculous. Like, I understand, but I still feel like it was ridiculous. Like, I understand, because like I said in CC General, the majority of the people in our server are from the C region. But in the C region, the majority of the people on the server are from Indonesia. They have over 200 MSS. Well, 200 MS. Cold Closers is located in the Europe region. So they wouldn't be hooting and hollering, bitching and whining, complaining, like they pretty much always do. But this one, they wouldn't be bitching and complaining about the whip stacks if the server was located in the Indonesian server, where they actually have like less than let's say 50 MS, because it's literally right in their region. They can actually use whip without delay, whereas somebody like me, who is in North America, or the people who currently don't have issues because the server is located in EU and they are located in EU, we will suffer. We will suffer because our MS will be over 200 and so forth. Or let's say if the server was located in let's say the server was located in United States. Somebody like me who would have pretty much less than 50 MS would have no issues with the whip change. But somebody who is in, let's say, Europe, or somebody who is, say, in Indonesia, they would still suffer. They would still suffer. If you guys are following where I'm trying to get with this. So don't worry, stay with me. I'm gonna drive the point home. But yeah, the majority of the people who play the composers currently are from Indonesia. They're from not only Indonesia, there's also people who are from Malaysia. There are also people who are from Philippines. I'm not sure if we still have people from Japan, but that could be a possibility. We possibly have some people from Korea even, though I doubt, because they have their own place and theirs is the cheapest one. Hell, it's literally where the game was made. This game was made in Korea, so I'm just saying. So it would make sense that they do make sense that from the distance. So from the distance, it would make sense that they would use stuff like VPN, because so forth, all that. So it makes sense why they have such high ping or delays, or they crash a lot, the stacks or anything they experience very heavy delay because of how far they are from where the server is located. My usual MS is ranging from 100 to 140 MS. So I'm still in a sweet spot to be able to still use the whip. But that don't mean that I don't experience any type of delay. I actually do experience delay in my skills. You can actually, if you look closely in some of the videos where I'm being serious and I'm like fighting and stuff, if you pay close attention to my skills, they're not up like right off the bat. They experience like maybe 1 second delay or so forth, a couple seconds delay. I actually do experience some delay too, because I'm in North America and this server is in Europe. So yeah, that's why I experienced some delay too, but I still use whip because before the change I was already using whip because Bai's skill kit literally screams I'm a whip user. She's got finishing moves. She's got finishing moves that can be greatly reduced by her token skill. Her token skill has the ability to greatly reduce all her finishing moves. And if you get the army program version of the token skill, you can decrease the cooldown. You can increase the cooldowns of all your finishing moves plus the ES task force skill. And then I have freeze. I have my core skill, my init skill, that if I detonate the mark on the init skill, it reduces my FM4 by like 1 second for each detonation. So, and she technically got like low cooldowns for her finishing moves, making her very valuable for whip before this change. With the whip, don't get me wrong, the change is good for whip, because now literally every character can use whip, but that comes with some things that go along with it. You still have this thing called meta that exists. You still have people who are damage freaks, and how this coming. Let's just shorten it and say we still have this community. This community, how they operate, how they feel about damage, how they feel about characters, how they don't take things seriously. We still have this community. We all know how this community acts, whether we want to admit it or not. We all know how this community acts when it comes to something that is broken, when it comes to something that is meta. We already know how they act, so we're going to skip that part. So Curious, he wasn't entirely wrong when he said that the Chakram basically became somewhat useless, but Chakram still do have its uses. You can literally be like a DPS support because the Chakram debuffs, and it debuffs for the party, by the way. The Chakram do debuff for the party. So you can debuff for yourself and the party, while at the same time you can still combat the critical resistance. Chakram is really good if you want to combat critical resistance. That's why people kept saying, oh, this weapon is very good for something like Break Challenge. Break Challenge got a lot of critical resistance. If you have a Chakram with technically two functions in that weapon that technically they both give critical damage, in a sense. Talking about the critical resistance part on the second part of the Chakram. Technically, it gives more critical damage. I already explained how the defenses work and credited who taught me. But yeah, Chakram do still have its uses. It still can work. It still does work. Somewhat like a built-in debuff. You can use that weapon like a DPS support. So if you feel like you want to be like a support or something, you can use that weapon. And the speed, it got really good speed. It also helps you with consistent damage. It's exactly like what Curious was. It's exactly like Curious was saying. There's a reason why Curious is so head over heels for Chakram. Y'all gotta actually look at the effects on that weapon. The weapon do have critical damage. Yeah, Whip do out. I'll admit it right here, even though I've already kind of said it. Whip does out damage Chakram. Even before this change, Whip does out damage Chakram. But Chakram still has its uses and stuff, even though Whip do admittedly and was already out damaging Chakram. But I wouldn't be mad if Nog decides to buff Chakram, but I doubt they'll do that because they're probably going to be continuing to make another weapon and so forth. So unless somebody on the Korean server complained about Chakram being weak and they need to buff it, Chakram and Whip on other servers are still going to be somewhat relative in strength. Because like we've been saying, like some of us been saying, and some of us already know, Whip do out damage Chakram, but let's just say, like, if I had to give you a percentage, it's not the accurate one. If I had to give you a percentage, it'll be like 5 to 10% more than Chakram. But Chakram is consistent. But Chakram do give you consistent damage and easier to manage. That's actually one of the main reasons why we suggested Chakram, just in case you can't for some reason use the Whip. That was actually one of the reasons why we suggested Chakram. If for whatever reason you can't use Whip, because it's easy to manage. You literally just have to hit 60 times and then maintain that. Then the duration is 10 seconds. If it runs out, all you gotta do is use skills that got like a whole bunch of hits that equal up to 60 hits, and then it's right back up again. Then maintain it again. So you're probably wondering, well then, why were you all for a change that the way you describe it, it basically sounds useless. Well, Chiharu, the way you described it, that you basically made the suggestion that Chris made sound useless. Why are you so all for it? Because it would have, well, because it actually would have helped it actually would help for something like Castle of Darkness and Finale of Flames and stuff. No, it actually would. You do lose out on quite some damage through cutscenes if those stats are gone, and then you gotta quickly get back up to 60. Now, I know some of y'all are in the back are like, well, that's easy. Then that's not much of a problem. I know I'm not explaining it right. I'm trying to explain it to you as best as I can, but like I'm trying to tell you guys, it actually wouldn't be a useless change. It especially would help if you fight bosses with cutscenes, because you never know when they're gonna put out another boss that got like a whole bunch of cutscenes like Flame King do. There's a reason why people don't spam Finale of Flames or Castle of Darkness like that. They will now, because they now know that those amplifiers cost over 1 bill and they're not going to go down anytime soon, because people are not going to spam it like that, because those cutscenes are atrocious. Nobody wants to deal with those cutscenes all day. So some people are actually going to spam that if they're really dedicated enough to farm for that kind of money. See my point? But at this point, it is what it is. It's going to happen again. I'm actually confident in telling you they're going to do it again. They're going to do something like this again. So at this point, that's also kind of why I let it go. They're going to do something like this again. They're probably like, no, they won't. They're going to do something like this again. It's going to happen again, whether we like it or not. They're going to make tweaks to gear. If they did it for the staff, they did it for the staff because they were afraid of us. They were afraid of us letting our egos soar and fly for war games because we have our staff. And they did it for whip because people kept complaining about the whip. They ignored the image mod. Or ruled it to they can't do anything for the image mod, and then proceeded to encourage that, which is why I had an issue with that. But like I said, I've let it go. If they have, I forgot what else they made changes. I forgot what else kind of things they made changes to. But if they did shit like this, if they did shit like this and made custom tweaks and so forth, they're going to do it again. They make custom tweaks to pretty much everything on the server. They make custom tweaks to pretty much almost anything on the server, be it the red drop, the accessory drop rate, or the accessories in the drop pool, the material costs, the credit costs, everything. They do this often. So I wholeheartedly understand Curious's frustration. Don't get me wrong about that. But there's still, the point I was trying to make is that they're going to do this regardless. They're going to make tweaks regardless. Someone's going to complain, and they're going to fix it so they won't complain anymore regardless. I feel like that's why that's another reason why the people on the server act and feel so entitled, because they feel like if they complain enough and if they bitch hard enough, things will go their way. That's why you guys notice I started talking. That's why, if you guys notice, aside from how I've been feeling and my anxiety, which I went in detail about, I started talking less in CC General. I started cutting conversations short. I started staying to myself, admittedly, but I still do help my girl and stuff. But I started staying to myself lately. I stopped. You notice that a lot of y'all notice I haven't been talking much. I've been kind of just staying in my corner and doing my own thing and watching from afar, and made it very, very clear that I've been watching from afar, even though I don't say anything. You guys notice that I stopped running the forums trying to talk to the staff, because I started to realize that talking to the staff is not always the answer, because not only they can't fix everything, but I started noticing some changes. I'm not saying that Marvin is completely right, but Marvin was right in some things, not everything. That shit that Marvin said is still a scare message. Marvin wasn't right in a whole lot of things. He wasn't even right in when they're going to shut down. If you really want my honest opinion on how they're possibly going to shut down, it's going to be, if they let, it will be, I'm gonna be real with y'all, and I hate to scare y'all. I hate to be the one to say it, but if y'all really want a good way of how the server will possibly shut down, it's the people. It's not gonna be, I don't think it will be Nautic. I think it will be the people causing it to shut down. I think it will be the carelessness of the people and how they handle the economy and how they treat other players will be the reason why it shuts down. I say this because how they treat other players, how they don't care about themselves, how they handle the economy is going to drive people away, and that's less people who will want to spend, and that's probably going to be how they shut down. That's how I feel like how they're going to shut down if they're not careful. That's why one of the very last things that I've said, well, I attempted to do was to try to talk to Harpy about something, but I got an answer that made me feel like she don't give a damn. So after that, you notice I started to just shut up. Okay? So, oh no, don't worry, I haven't forgot about talking about the quality of life. Overall, the quality of life pass was great. Some things need to be explained so y'all can fully get it, because some of y'all don't think for yourselves. Some of y'all don't want to use your heads. Some of y'all, I feel like, don't have a brain to begin with. No offense, but if there is something that I can tell you now with this one, would be some of y'all gonna switch. Some of y'all gonna be like, okay, well, Whip is now the Meditaire now. I hate that this happened, but the Whip is now the Meditaire core. So what do we do? Well, I'm gonna let y'all know, Whip is probably gonna be $1 bill unless you're lucky enough to find someone to still sell the Whip for 700 mil. The actual price for Whip is 700 mil through $1 bill. That's the price for a fresh Whip. Chakram should be 500 mil to 700 mil, but because everybody was so focused on spamming Models Hill, people tried to increase the Chakram price to 800 mil. But Chakram is actually 500 mil to 700 mil. People have been trying to buy Whips for 800 to 900 mil so that it can motivate people to spam the dungeon, drop the Whip, and sell it to them. That's why they're offering so high. But Whip is actually 700 mil to $1 bill. Chakram is 500 mil to 700 mil. You're gonna notice some people trying to buy Chakram for 800 mil. Now you guys see why I started spamming Dragon King and giving my weapons to my guild members so that they don't get caught up in those high prices. Now you guys see why. Yes, that's why I was spamming Dragon King so much, so that my guild members won't get caught up in that. Y'all notice that I haven't sold a Chocum and a whip in a good minute. I've been selling nothing but the lanterns and the staffs. I've been giving my Chocums and my whips to my guild members so they don't get caught up in the people who are desperate and have to compete with them. They won't have to compete with them. They won't have to compete with them. They'll be set with weapons and stuff. Especially accessories. Y'all notice I haven't sold accessories in a good bit because I've been giving my rare accessory boxes to my guild members, and if they don't want it, that's when I sell it. I still sell gacha pieces. Yes, I still sell gacha pieces. That's never gonna change. Unique accessories even. Y'all notice recently I tried to sell it back because it looked like nobody. That's basically because I didn't feel like nobody wanted the HON back. I thought they wanted footprints. Luckily, I was able to. I didn't sell that back, by the way. I was luckily able to find a guild member that wanted the HON back. Y'all notice that? But yeah, y'all notice that I've been spamming Dragon King as of late. Y'all haven't seen me sell a single whip. Y'all haven't seen me sell a single Chocum. Y'all have been seeing me sell nothing but staffs and lanterns because I pretty much reserve my whips and Chocum for my guild members so they don't get caught up in all that shit. Like I said, I'm aware that people still resell. I'm aware that people are scalpers. A lot of people on the server are scalpers. A lot of these people are resellers. A lot of these people do RMT. I'm aware of that. I'm aware they don't care about anybody else but themselves. But the ironic part is that they don't even care about themselves. I'm aware of that. I'm just doing what I can so my guild members don't get caught up in that shit. Y'all notice that in my G key on the skill slot I have Hecatoncheir tickets. If somebody had at one point put 1,000 Heca tickets, that was me who bought that shit. I'm still hunting for my Heca chips. I'm still hunting for Heca chips for the rest of my buys and stuff. That's what I've been doing. So that, cause here's another thing. One thing I forgot to mention. I apologize. I let it slip from my mind. I forgot to mention it. A good way how you can decrease those prices is if you don't buy at those prices. Oh, what? No. I never forgot that. I just forgot to mention it at the time because I was juggling through so many things. But another way we can combat those prices is to just don't buy from it. It still falls in line with what I've been saying. If we don't buy from it, if people already have it, if they see that people already have it and don't need it like that, they're not going to want to buy that. Then they're going to realize, oh wait, people already have that. So I guess we can go ahead and decrease our prices. Some are still going to sell for their high price, but it would be best if you just don't buy at that price. Let me wrap this up so I'm not talking too much. Basically, we're doing fine. We're doing okay. If you guys want to, or if you guys feel like you can, and you want to help prices go down, or if you want to look out for your friends, you guys are also free to start spamming Dragon King for your friends and helping your guild out. We are in a time. The state of the server. We are in a time where looking out for your crew members are crucial. You notice now that there's still people in global chat still hollering about carries and stuff. Now we are in a crucial time where it is very crucial to look out for each other. I'm talking about your guild members, your friends, your loved ones. Those are the ones that should matter to you the most. We're in a time where we should be looking out for them, including ourselves, not forgetting to take care of ourselves. By all means, if you guys want to do what I'm doing and start spamming and dropping weapons to help out your guild members, so they don't get caught up in what the other side is doing, scamming each other and so forth, you can do that too. That actually will help bring the prices. That actually another way that will help bring the prices down. 2 ways. 1, it lets them continue what they're doing on the other side. 2, the more of the product being produced equals the more supply that we have equals the price going down more. An old tactic that we all know. So, if y'all want another way for some of these prices to go down, since we all know that the staff can't do shit, or since Harpy pretty much told us that she can't really do shit regarding necessities and everything, we could pull. I mean, we can still pull, but like we can help our friends instead. We could pull for ourselves and our friends. We can still pull. I know. I know. We already know. But I'm just saying for people who didn't know, we can still pull. We can still spend. We just shifting our focus to our friends and us. That's the whole point I've been trying to make. But I mean, outside of us and our friends and everything, if y'all want to sell, if y'all want to sell to them, if y'all desperately need money, just don't sell low, because just be cautious and don't sell low. Sell high. Since they've been selling high to us, sell high to them right back. That will make them stop trying to sell high to everyone else, and they will possibly start to sell at normal prices. But they don't learn. They're not gonna learn. They're not gonna learn until it hits them hard. So for now, we still sell high to them. It ain't being bitter. It's just like, I mean, it ain't being bitter, but like they wanted this type of economy so much. So let's give it. That's what I'm saying. Let's give it to them. They wanted this economy so much so they can laugh and kiki and everything. So let's give them the economy and sell high to them. That's what I've been really trying to say. Also, I noticed someone who has been reselling bits, and it's someone we all know. And I'll be nice and not say names. It's not Rory. It's not Rory Seth. We already know we been knew he'd been reselling bits. We been knew that some of the people on that side have been reselling stuff, including bits. Somehow we all know. I'm gonna give you a hint. Because I found this out, and I'm actually not surprised that they've been reselling bits too. I'm gonna give you a hint. They do services. I'm talking about game services, like not RMT services, not other services. Like they do a lot of stuff like enhancing services, tuning services, so forth. Yeah, I found out it's someone we know very well and very high TCP, and they do like enhancing services, custom tuning services. I found out they resell bits too. I won't say names. Some of y'all might figure it out. Some of y'all might pick up on it. Some of y'all won't pick up on it. Some of y'all will feel lost. I'm not surprised, but I'm still disappointed. But I'm not surprised that they do. But it is what it is. It's how they make money. And They pretty much established that they don't give a fuck about their community. They've been very vocal about it. They've been very toxic on top of that too. So they pretty much let it known that they actually don't give a fuck about nobody. They're just there for business. It is what it is. But y'all take what y'all will with that information, and do what y'all will. Blacklist them, I don't know. Y'all do what y'all will with that information. Meantime, I'm gonna go back to finishing up weeklies. Y'all have a good one.